Welcome back to an all-new episode of Top Shelf here on the Filmaholic channel, and today we are doing our top 10 1980s films. So like we always do, we start off with our 5 honorable mentions before we actually go into our top 10 list. Apparently Ethan's list sucks, so I'm going to kick it off here with my number 15 of my honorable mentions, and that is a film that my family had on VHS as a kid. And I used to watch it, and then I revisited it not too long ago, and it still holds up as being just hilarious. And just in general, I'm a big fan of Chevy Chase in the 80s. So this movie
Jesus.
This movie is Funny Farm.
My list sucks, and you got Funny Farm at 15.
Funny Farm from 1988. This movie is one of the best comedies of the 1980s. So underrated. I got to get it on Blu-ray. Just scenes I think about sometimes with random things like the door, tripping over the door, the bridge, just Mailman. Love this film. That's my number 15. Kick things off. And speaking of Chevy Chase, honorable mention. My number 16 would have been National Lampoon's Vacation, but
that's cheating, dude.
Didn't quite make it in there.
You like Funny Farm more than Vacation?
Yeah.
Oh man, my list sucks, and you got these hot takes already.
I like it more than Fletch too. Fletch is in my list.
That's insanity right there.
Number 14 is, it's not towards the top of my list of the franchise, but it's still in the franchise, and that's Rocky III from 1982. Love the Rocky franchise. This one has some really emotional scenes, but it is very 1980s heavy. The fourth one is too, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, Rocky III is my number 14. Number 13 is a movie I just watched today because I wanted to revisit it before we made this list to see if it would fit in, because it's been a year since I watched it, and that's E.T., which is 4.5 stars. Excellent film. Number 12 is the only animated film on this list, and that's The Fox and the Hound. One of my favorite Disney animated films. Just a great story. Got Kurt Russell in there too, doing a voice. But that's my number 12. And then my final film on honorable mentions at number 11 this is one of the films I thought could be in your list, but it's not, and that's Ferris Bueller's Day Off from 1986. That is my number 11, finishing up my honorable mentions. It's the best John Hughes directed film.
You're insane. I'm not going to listen to this garbage. I'll close this video. Just do it yourself. You're going to hate my list, but that's nothing new compared to any of the other lists. So why break tradition? Starting off number 15, I'm sure you'll think it's a hot take, but you also have Funny Farm in your list, so who cares? Man, I've seen it enough as a kid. It's okay.
Revisit it.
But it's insane to say that you don't have Fletch or Vacation on there.
Well, if this was a list of 20, those would have been on there.
I have Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior.
God.
Told you love this list. Second best movie in the franchise after Fury Road, which is the best action movie of all time. Number
Mad
14.
In the franchise.
You're crazy. Get out of here. Bad opinions. Number 14, I've got Dead Poet Society with Rob Williams. This one, I think I said there was 3 on my list. I don't know if you had seen. This was one of them. I can't remember. I know we talked about it before.
I watched it in school one year, but I don't remember a lot. I mean, I remember the ending, obviously, and bits and pieces, but it is something I need to revisit.
You just didn't bother revisiting it for the best of the 80s. I understand.
Then pass it for me.
Yeah. Number 13, I know you haven't seen because you hate John Carpenter, and that's Big Trouble in Little China. Talk about Kurt Russell. Hilarious role. Just fantastic. I don't think I immediately rewatched it, but I know it was like within a couple of days. I watched it again. Number 12, it's like yours, The Little Mermaid. Only animated film on my list, too. One of my favorite Disney movies for animation. you have it 1 star lower than what it should be. It should be a 5 star.
4 stars.
And my final honorable mention, I think this one might surprise you being this low, but I've got Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Well, there's another Arnold movie I thought would be in your list, and it's not. So we'll talk about that here in a minute.
Yeah. Terminator's not on my list. Right now. It's a 4.5 right now.
It's a 4.5 for me, too. But you have your whole list, all your 15 is 5 stars.
All my 15. Well, Mad Max Fury Road, 13 to 15 could be 4.5 stars if I rewatched them.
I only have 4 or 5. My top 4 is the only 5-star films on my list.
Well, you just hate the 80s, so that's your problem.
And then my 5 through my 13 are 4.5, and then my last 2 are 4s.
Yeah. My last 3 could be 4.5s, and then the list could change if I rewatched them. But I know the others would be 5 stars, like from Little Mermaid up. I mean, unless something changes drastically when I rewatch these movies.
You watch them and you'll realize they're not that good.
Oh man, this is terrible. 3 stars for you. Get out of the list.
Move that Mad Max movie down to a 2.5.
How dare you? But Predator is the last one of my honorable mentions.
Okay. I think it's a 4 for me.
Damn.
It's really good. Predator?
Savage right there.
I don't know. You know, if you just think about the movie, you're like, oh man, this is awesome. And then you watch it and it's like.
You don't think during the movie. That's the problem. Turn your brain off, dude.
All right. My number 10, start off my actual list of my top 10 favorite films of the 80s, is, like I said, Terminator. The Terminator, the original James Cameron movie there. 1984. I'm surprised this isn't in your list.
Last time I watched it, I told you it will be a 5-star one day.
You should have rewatched it because then it could have been in your list today.
It could have been because then I'd had to watch T2 after that, and that's a slippery slope, dude.
I used to like this movie more than I like Terminator 2. I do like Terminator 2, Judgment Day, better now. T2 would actually be a 5, like I've said, if it wasn't for the kid. But I still love the Terminator. It's, you know, more than just a sci-fi like action. This is really a horror movie to me. One of my favorite horror movies. Just especially as a kid watching it, it's just like, this is so cool but terrifying at the same time. Just imagine this guy, which I mean is a robot, just a machine, just coming after you, like huge. Just
start cutting himself in the bathroom.
Yeah, with his eye, just terrifying. And then you got the scene too, and the score. The score is amazing. Everything about it really. It's just like, I don't have to rewatch it again to really come up with my complaints for it. And I mean, obviously some of the effects don't hold up as much. But
I don't really have any complaints. It's just like, I don't know. Maybe I haven't watched it enough for it to be a 5-star film.
I think what would have bumped it from a 4.5 to a 5 to me is a little bit more development with Sarah Connor in that movie. You
get in a sequel though.
Right. But I would have liked to have known her a little bit more then, and how her character was then compared to how she is in T2. Because I mean, T2, you really get this character who's went through what she went in the first film, and the PTSD and whatnot that's impacted her. But I want to know like her in the first one of just like her, you know, who she is before she's affected by all of this, and how that play into her relationship with
Kyle Reese.
Yeah, so that's my number 10.
All right, my number 10 is the greatest horror movie of all time, in my opinion.
That came out in the 90s. So I don't know Shama.
No. It's The Thing. Yeah.
It's 4 stars.
Drastically underrated by you.
It's 4 stars.
You hate John Carpenter, so that's just your problem.
Might would be a 4.5 if it wasn't for the dog scene.
That was necessary for the movie. Just incredible. It leaves you guessing. Like the first time every time you watch it, but especially the first time, you just keep wondering like who is the person, who is this alien creature. And he doesn't like shy away from, I guess, hiding this from you. Just, I think 3 or 4 times in the movie it just cuts when somebody's about to get transformed, and you just have to kind of guess who it's going to be. And even in the end, it's just Kurt Russell and Keith David. And we're just gonna wait here and die, I guess.
It's got a good score too.
Yeah, fantastic score. I can't remember. I think this is one of the only ones he didn't do the score. I think this is Ennio Morricone.
Oh man, no wonder it's really I mean, not that John Carpenter does a good score too. I mean, obviously look at Halloween, but
yeah. I think this is one where he didn't do the score for. Guy who did the Hateful Eight.
Yeah. It doesn't. No. Yeah, he did do it.
I don't think John Carpenter did the score for this.
But she's just one of the best composers of all time, I think.
But I mean, yeah, that definitely sets the mood for the movie. But I mean, I wouldn't say it's an all-star cast, but it's definitely people who play their roles perfectly.
Well, people that Carpenter would go on to work with later. This came out in the early 80s, so he uses them again too. Keith David and They Live, Kurt Russell in several films.
Yeah. But yeah, this is... I'd have to watch this or The Exorcist back to back to say which one was my favorite.
I must have missed it on The Exorcist of what everyone thinks is so great about that movie.
Ah, man, it's incredible. That'll probably be on my top 10. I think you said we're doing anything pre-90s?
Pre-80s. Yeah, that's what I think we're going to do after this is we're going to do top 10 films before 1980. Just because, and I'm not happy with myself about this, but I haven't had the opportunity really to watch that many films before 1980. I mean, there's a lot of films that I've seen before 1980, but to look at one particular decade, say, especially before 1970, before the 70s.
Yeah. If there's even 15 films.
I mean, they're all going to be like 15 Hitchcock movies.
Just because of the class.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, that's my number 10 with The Thing.
Okay. My number 9, and this is one that I don't know what you have it rated right now, but you need to revisit this franchise, and that's my number 9 is Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, that's on my list to revisit.
Which Raiders this time during my last rewatch, which I did in the last 2 weeks, I think. I moved it up. I liked it better this time. I think I might have had it at a 4.
Yeah.
And I moved it up to a 4.5 this time. It's excellent. I don't think it's perfect like some people, which, I mean, obviously I think a lot of people that give this movie a 5, they grew up with the movie. It was something they watched as a kid, and that makes sense, but to me, it's a 4.5. It's excellent. It's a superior version of James Bond to me. Obviously creatively much different, put it in a different time period, put it back in the mid to late 30s. This was the first film in the franchise, but chronologically it's the second film. But, not just, I mean, he's just such an interesting, exciting character to watch. Harrison Ford's perfect to play the character. And I was watching a little thing with The Mandalorian today when they were talking about, I can't remember, Gina Carano, is that her name? I think.
Yeah.
From Mandalorian, how she plays her character and how she knows how to act when she actually gets hit, how she plays it, the way she plays it. And they referenced Harrison Ford, how he does that in Indiana Jones, how he gets hit, and it seems like he actually got hit, just the way he plays it real. And he doesn't play it like a superhero, he plays it like a real person as that character. And I think that's great, and he brings a lot to the role. I also thought the female lead in the movie was really good too. I can't remember her name. It's Karen. something.
Is that the one they bring back?
Kieran Allen, yes, and she plays the character Marianne in the film, and she comes back in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Is the mother of Shia's character. So they have a kid at some point after this movie. But I thought her character was excellent too. Definitely a mistake not to bring her back in the sequels before Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I think they should have brought her back in The Last Crusade. I don't think they should have ever made Temple of Doom, but that's a topic for a different time. Not that it's awful. I mean, I still like it, but it's definitely my least favorite of the franchise. Honestly, I like it less than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. But yeah, really good film. You need to revisit it.
Yeah, I was going to until I started this Mad Men rewatch. My number 9, don't know if it'll be on your list, but I've got National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
You don't know if it's going to be on my list?
I guess it will be, but I can't remember what you have it rated.
It's a 4.5 for me. So
okay, so where is it on your list?
Oh, well, yeah, if it's on my list, I guess I got to talk about it right now. Hold on. Christmas Day, it's my number 5.
Oh, man. Goodness. That's really high. Man, my next 2 are going to be on your list, too, so we'll get to those. But, yeah, it's only number 9 on my list.
Wow. I'm kind of surprised it's so low.
Yeah, you'll understand when I get to the top 8.
Man, I guess. I mean, this used to be a 5-star perfect film for me, Christmas Vacation. I mean, it's my number 5. It is one of my favorite films of the 80s. Just like I don't think it was the last time I rewatched it. I think it was the time before that. I moved it down to a 4.5. 4.5. I don't know, just like some character choices in it. I'm not a huge fan of some of the things they have Clark do. Especially the scene with like the woman in the mall. Like I'm just like, it just didn't work for me.
It's funny.
80s humor.
'Tis the season to be merry. That's my name.
Well, that part's fine. It's the whole thing is that whole scene is just too much. It goes on too long too.
Well, it cuts back and forth, I think.
And then the fantasy scene in the pool too.
Well, yeah, that was like a mimic of
the first film.
Well, the first film, but then also Fast Times at Ridgemont High is what it's mimicking.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's literally what it's mimicking. Yeah, this is a must-watch on Christmas Eve.
It's my favorite Christmas movie.
I thought it was You Shoot Your Eye Out.
Fuck that movie, dude.
Christmas story, man. Yeah, must watch Christmas time a couple times throughout the year, honestly, if I'm in the right mood.
Well, especially if you pop in Vacation, you watch that, and you're like, well, now I have to watch Christmas Vacation.
I have to watch it. Like Chevy Chase was just perfect casting for this role. Like nobody else could have done it even close. I don't like how they keep switching the kids, but
well, after they switched it one time, they were like, well, let's have it be a thing.
Let's just
cast
keep
every time. Which I'm not a huge fan of that either. Well, part of my problem too is not that you even had to recast every time for the kids, because whatever you made these films. I don't know if that's the thing you want to do, but my problem is that you don't keep up with the age.
Yeah, no, we're not going to change it. Don't worry about it.
Because I mean, you should have had that be a thing at least. I mean, between first one came out in 83. I'm not sure when I think European Vacation came out in 85. I want to say.
This was 89.
And like this kid who plays Rusty, which went on to play in Big Bang Theory, he looks younger than Michael. Was it Michael Hall? What's his?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, dude.
Character plays Brian. The guy who plays Brian.
Anthony Michael Hall.
No. Anthony Michael Hall, yeah.
Show some respect. But yeah, my number 9 Like I said, my next two will be on your list too. Just not sure where they'll line up.
Well, my number 8 is Beverly Hills Cop.
Not on my list.
Came out in 1984. One of my favorite cop films. Love Eddie Murphy in this role. He's perfect. The role of Axel Foley. It's as much as I love Stallone. I can't believe they were trying to get Stallone to play this role originally. They wanted Stallone to play in Beverly Hills Cop, and then he wanted to make a bunch of changes, and they were like, nah. And then he went on to make Cobra.
Yeah, I'll do Cobra instead of Beverly Hills Cop.
Which, was a mistake for him. But I'm glad he did. He did that because we got Eddie Murphy in the role, and he was perfect. Went on to make one really good sequel, and then.
How dare you? Could you imagine if Stallone was a Detroit voice? Like trying to do the accent?
I would hope they wouldn't have changed the voice. I would have hoped.
Just give me the movie right now.
Well, I mean, I don't know. A lot of that stuff would have changed. A lot of the jokes and stuff, whatnot, too.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just can't imagine him doing a lot of these scenes when he gets thrown through the window. I can imagine that being Stallone.
Who's throwing Stallone through the window? Might have Arnold as the villain. That's the only person that's going to put it back in the 80s.
Yeah, and we're also supposed to get the fourth one finally in the next couple years. From Paramount, I imagine is going to end up being on Netflix instead of Paramount because Coming to America.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing with that. And I think it's the smart thing to do because honestly, I think it's a little too late. I'm glad they're still making it because you do have the big fans of the original series, and me and whatnot, that want to see a sequel. But it's not smart to put this in theaters. I would go see it in theaters, but a lot of people are not going to unless you make a Beverly Hills Cop 4 that is a passing of the torch. And I don't really want to see that. There's certain franchises where I'm all for that, but there's others where I'm like, I don't think it's necessary. I just want to see another story with the same cast, the same characters. And there's another movie that we'll talk about them possibly doing a sequel to, and that's another thing where I'm like, this will only work if you put it on Netflix. It's definitely not working in theaters, but we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, and then you have the whole cast is actually pretty good in Beverly Hills Cop. You got Judge Reinhold in there, Ronnie Cox in there. I'm not sure the other guy's name, and the villain, but the villain appears as a villain in multiple films in the 80s. I think he's in a Rambo film too. Is it Rambo 3? He's a villain.
I can't remember if it was 2 or 3. Yeah.
But yeah, really good movie.
My number 8, which I think is your number 4, if I'm guessing correctly, is Roadhouse.
No, it's not my. I still have to go ahead and talk about it. It's my number 3.
Dude, do you like this more than Blade Runner or Return of the Jedi? Oh man!
I'm not telling you yet. You have to
God.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
Roadhouse, number 3.
Oh man, that's crazy.
You think so?
I mean, I didn't think about it when I was making my list, but you were like, "Oh, I only have 4 5-star films." Like, blew my mind. And then when you said it's your number 3, like I'm trying to figure out. I'm gonna say Return of the Jedi is your number 4.
Let's see.
Yeah, I think we watched this a day apart because you were telling me you were watching it, like, well, I have to watch it now. So thanks for that.
Well, I mean, I discovered this film because of you. You, I feel like, forced me to watch it. I'm not sure when it was, but do you remember the first time I watched this movie?
I had to be middle school.
Okay.
Because I think I was living on right near Food Line.
Yeah, I think that's when I watched it the first time, and it was definitely something where I'm like, I'm not gonna like this.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna like this.
Definitely has the potential to hate it.
Watched it, and I was like, oh man, I really liked it. This character's so cool.
Number
Music's awesome.
Yeah.
And then I didn't watch it for a long time, and then I rewatched it probably 2016.
I don't know.
Somewhere around there. Or maybe when we lived together. I don't know. It might have been 2017. I rewatched it.
A once a year thing for me, so I don't know what you're talking about.
And I was like, oh, man. At that point, it was like I knew it was like a 4.5 for me. And then it was like the time when I rewatched this past time, like, I'll move it on up. It's a 5-star. Yeah. It's perfect.
That's what I did the last time I watched it. God, this is incredible. Can't take my eyes off the movie. Just Patrick Swayze is incredible as Dalton. You know,
not the best character in the movie, but he's
not the best character in the movie. Yeah, okay. Wade Garrett. Garrett. Maybe if you got more out of him, but that's a bold move to say that.
It's another thing that makes it so great. It's just the whole mystery.
You don't know anything
You're
about
just
it.
Robbed.
No one wears underwear in this time of the 80s.
Not in Texas. Or no, where was this at? This wasn't Texas. It was
no, it's like Oklahoma or something. I can't remember. It was in the South for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one's wearing underwear. Apparently, you can't have, 2 bars within like a 100-some-mile radius of each other, or
not with the population of this town,
or people are gonna die. It's not happening. It's just incredible. I want to watch it right now. I just watched it. I just watched it. It's so easy to watch.
Yeah, it is.
If you've seen it a few times, you know exactly what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, all the character beats, like when, like if you're sitting there on your phone, you know when to like put your phone down and like what scenes you're going to want to watch. Yes. Oh man, double douche.
Opinions vary.
Thought you'd be bigger. Oh, there's always Barber College. It's just so funny.
Yeah, eventually we'll do that list for Top Shelf, which is a top 10 most rewatchable movies, and that'll probably be on mine too.
Yeah, I can't imagine it not being on mine.
It'll be the only film from the 80s I think that'll make it on my list.
Well, I don't know about that. Maybe.
But yeah, it's very rewatchable. And like I said, that's my number 3. That was your number 8?
Yep.
Okay. Moving on to my number 7. Are you ready to talk? And that's Lethal Weapon.
That's my number 7.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's what I said. The next 2 I know we're going to be on your list.
Yeah, my number 7 is Lethal Weapon, which I just rewatched recently as well. Watched the whole franchise on Netflix before it left, and this is the best film in the franchise. Far better than I remembered. When I went into the movie thinking, it'd probably be a 4, and it ended up being a 4.5. Watched it for the first time in middle school. It could be a 5 eventually. I mean, this is only the second time I'd seen it, so if I watch it more in the future, it could move up to a 5. It's hands down the best, like, cop movie, best buddy cop movie out there. Like, straightforward. I mean, Blade Runner's kind of a cop movie, but I wouldn't consider it the same type of thing that I'm talking about.
Even this one, I mean, you say buddy cop now, but I don't know back then if there was like a buddy cop genre.
Did this start it?
And if there was, like, they weren't really pals in this movie.
Right. I mean, it was more moving into the other films where they become.
I mean, Martin Riggs is my favorite character of the 80s.
He's high up there on my list.
I think he's just incredible. I've said it before. Mel Gibson was robbed for the Oscar nomination. It's like characters like this is the character he should have played in the whole franchise. Like this out there, like PTSD character. And I think they did a good job in the sequel, like diving deep in that.
Yeah.
3 and 4, you strayed away from it, definitely. He just got cured somehow. didn't care about his wife anymore.
He has that scene in the fourth one. Best scene in the movie.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the best scene in the movie. But yeah, I think the script's incredible. Richard Donner, you know, I don't know. The main thing I saw to him before was like the Goonies. So it's like weird to be like, yeah, you directed Lethal Weapon too. So yeah, absolutely perfect casting. Gary Busey, not leaving him out. Mr. Joshua.
And I love stuff that's filmed in and around Hollywood too. So that added to my enjoyment of it. And actually filming stuff on Hollywood Boulevard and getting to see that. Because you get to see it through people, especially us that's been there. Is like you get to see it through different decades, and that's always exciting to me.
I wish they had kept the scenes from the director's cut. I wish that was what they would released.
What are those scenes? I haven't seen them.
Well, I know one major scene is it's early on in the movie. He goes on a call where there's a shooter at like an elementary school or something, and it just delves deeper like into how crazy he is.
He walks in there.
Yeah.
I've seen that. You showed it to me one time because that's where I was watching the movie and I was like, "Where's that scene?" I thought I imagined. I was like, dude, I completely imagined this scene from Lethal Weapon.
I pictured this scene in my brain. Where is it at? That's the director's cut. And I thought they should have kept it because it goes deeper into how crazy like his character is. Like he has this death wish, but it shows how good he is at his job. And then it's kind of like a callback at later on you find out how good of a shooter he is, and this just reinforces that.
Well, then it's also the scene with I can't. Is it in this one or the sequel where he jumps off the building with that guy?
The first one's where he jumps off with the guy.
Yeah. So I guess they have.
He's about to kill himself.
They had that replace the one with the shooting.
No, that was in both.
Oh.
Well,
maybe they thought it was too similar, and that's why they cut it.
Maybe. I thought it was. I mean, honestly, it's probably one of my favorite scenes of the movie.
Because I thought that was supposed to be his introduction. I thought that was the first scene with him in the movie, but then it didn't happen, and I was like, oh.
And he said, I guess not.
And then when the one thing on the roof happened, I was like, well, maybe that's what I was remembering. But I don't know. I guess my mind turned it into a gun instead of them jumping on the building.
I mean, they might have thought it was too similar, but I think they definitely should have kept it in the overall cut.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now you know it's part of the director's cut.
Well, I didn't make it up.
I sued the company. I wrote the movie.
Yeah, it's my number 7. So what is your...
My number 6 is not even close to your list, and that's Commando.
No.
With Arnold Schwarzenegger, dude. You're missing out. I just don't understand your opinions with Schwarzenegger movies.
Definitely nowhere near the top of his films.
This is number 3 of my favorites.
First of all, I can't believe you have Commando over Terminator or Predator.
As far as my favorites, yes. It's Last Action Hero, then T2. That's my top 2.
Last Action Hero is this one I'm like, I can understand why you would like that movie a lot. Commando, I'm just like, I missed it, dude. Where's it at?
You'll watch it again and you'll like it. I mean, he rips a telephone booth out of the floor of a mall. I don't know what's not to like about this movie. I think you wanted to hate it because you like Stallone more. I think that's what it was.
Okay.
I think you probably watched this after Cobra and you're like, nah, I'm not going to like it more.
I watched Cobra recently, I think, for the first time.
I'm sorry.
The only thing with Cobra I'd seen was the scene at the beginning in the grocery store that you showed me.
That's the only scene that matters. So it does. That's a fair statement. It's the only scene that matters.
It should have been a short film. Just that scene.
That's it. It could have got nominated for an Oscar, best short film.
The movie went on though, and you're like, oh.
Where's your truck or car again? Is that show it again? I love Commando. I mean, I'm a sucker for Arnold.
Start a fan club for it.
Hey, it's probably already there. I'm a sucker for Arnold Schwarzenegger anyway. So
Commando 2.
grew up on his movies. Well, that's Die Hard. That's Commando 2.
I wish it was Commando 2 instead.
You like Die Hard, yeah?
I do. It's a 4-star film.
Um,
Really good. But I mean, you put Arnold in that role, it'd be even better.
wish. I just want to hear him pronouncing Nagasaki. Just playing across from Alan Rickman. Oh, please, dude. Yeah.
Well, see, and that you, oh man, just rewrite history. It could have had that be the case, and could have had him say "yippee motherfucker" in Commando. Imagine him saying that.
Just bodies. It's incredible. Luckily, you gave up the steelbook at Ed McKay's, and I have that now. So you would have gave it up anyway. Like, I'm taking this back. It's not worth it.
Just throw it off the balcony.
I'll throw you off the balcony. Just fantastic 80s, hardcore, just incredible movie.
Just completely messed up my hair.
Yeah, it's already messed up.
Well, Commando.
Yeah, that's my number 6.
My number 6, and this is another one where I was like, I thought it could be on your list, but it wasn't. And it goes back to, Stallone being better. And that's Rocky 4.
Clearly not better.
Excuse me?
We had a whole discussion, and he lost. Because you weren't prepared.
Stallone, I mean, first of all, Rocky 4 is far better than Commando.
Sure, insane.
I don't know what you're talking about. This movie ended the Cold War.
Years before it happened.
Yeah.
It's the best Rocky movie, that's for sure.
Ended the war? No, that's Rocky. But it is the best Rocky movie in the 1980s. Just love it. Like I said, it's very 80s heavy, like Rocky 3, but in a much more fun way. One of the best soundtracks of all time.
Yeah.
Top 10 soundtracks list. If we do that at some point, it's going to be in there.
Yeah.
It's also, in a way, a revenge tale. I mean, because Apollo, a character we've known now for 4 films, especially with his turn from being like the antagonist in the first 2 movies to helping him out and a friend in the third, still the friend now, just murdered in the ring. The beginning of the film, which sends Rocky, into revenge mode. He has to fight, and he goes to Russia to do it. Got some awesome training sequences in the film.
Best in history.
Yeah. Were you talking about the training one?
Yeah. Not the one in the car. That's what you're
one in the car better.
I like that. Oh, man. The training montage.
But they're both amazing. But yeah, and he's in the best shape of his life in that movie too, Stallone.
Yeah, and still not even close to Arnold in Commando.
He's not as big as Arnold.
He's not as fit as Arnold.
Just amazing. The best, Apollo is a better character overall because he has development and changes through those 4 films, which Dolph Lundgren changes too, but in a different way. I mean, you see him, they bring him back in Creed 2, but yeah, other than that, he's the best. I would say he's the best villain of the franchise.
Yeah.
But that's my number 6.
Well, on to my number 5, and your number 1. Empire Strikes Back.
Yes, that is my number 1 favorite film of the decade.
Yeah. My next 2 is gonna, your list is pretty much done for.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, Empire Strikes Back. Second favorite movie in the franchise. The best in the franchise, but Only my second favorite.
Just say it's the best, dude.
It is the best, but it's my second favorite.
It is the best in the franchise. It might be my favorite. I don't know. I'm going back and forth. When I rewatch them again, I'll make the decision. Force Awakens was my favorite, but
It got ruined.
the turn of this whole trilogy and everything is kind of affected it. Which now, I'm like ignoring that one film, and I'm gonna see when I watch it all this time, like how it goes. But I still love the Force Awakens. It's not gonna change from being a 5-star film for me. But what'd you say?
As if you can make it through that last film this time around.
Oh, I'm not doing that.
You said
the Last Jedi is the last film in the Skywalker saga.
You said I got through the title crawl and I turned it off.
I did. The first day they put it on there, I was like, I'll check it out. I'll rewatch it because I've only seen it once. The Dead Speak. I can't do this.
Not to me.
I just felt it felt wrong to try to even rewatch it.
Yeah.
I just felt disgusted with myself. Couldn't do it. But The Empire Strikes Back is best sequel ever made. What's that?
I don't know. That's
another list we're gonna do at some point. So
apparently.
Better prepare yourself.
Yeah. You disgrace this movie. You're like, oh, I'm gonna show my kids in chronological order. Just take that away from them that they could, you already know Darth Vader's his father. You don't get
as young as I'm going to show them, they're not really going to care. Because I kept thinking about it after we had that conversation of that. And I was like, when I watched these movies as a kid, because I did watch these movies first before I saw the films. But it didn't really, I wasn't like, oh my God. At 3 years old when I watched it.
Insane.
At 3 years old when I watched it, it didn't blow my mind that he was the father. I was just like, okay, ready for the next movie.
You're crazy.
So I can't imagine when, I showed my kids these that it's going to blow their mind. It's just like, if they hadn't seen any movies and I showed it to them when they were like maybe 10, then maybe things would be differently. But it's not at all possible to hold Star Wars until they're 10 years old with everything that's happening.
It is.
It would get spoiled somewhere. It's such an iconic thing. It would be spoiled. So
yeah, that's right. It's iconic.
So it is iconic because at the time. But it's one of those iconic things where I'm like, you had to be there. Otherwise, it's spoiled for you. And it's just like, in the MCU, which, I'm going to show them that stuff chronologically.
Yeah.
But with the MCU, it's like, when they watch that, it's not like they're going to not know what the snap is, probably. Because I feel like that's so iconic at this point.
They absolutely aren't going to know. You go to your room and you'll stay there.
Forever.
It's like Santa Claus. I wish a kid would ruin it for you about Tony. I will murder him.
Well, see, that's one thing. Like, you're going to have to show them really early because there's probably still going to be Marvel movies come out that he's not in.
They're not going to see it.
God.
You're not going to see it till you finish the franchise.
Oh, man, I can't even imagine how many movies they'll have at that point. 200.
We're at 20-some now. It'd be at least 30.
Yeah.
Oh, well, no, more than that because you got 5 a year coming out.
Oh, man.
We'll be at 50 by the time it happens.
Yeah, but Empire Strikes Back just takes everything to the next level of character arcs, progression. Obviously, Han and Leia's relationship, which is my favorite part of the movie. I love that. And then also, too, just everything with, Luke and Yoda. Every time I rewatch the movie, too, I appreciate that stuff more. Just how it's written, but the meanings and stuff behind it, too, and Yoda's character. I appreciate that stuff more. Love the scene when he walks into the cave, too, the nightmare dream sequence, whatever, with seeing what he could become. And then, just everything about the ending, the choices they make to freeze Han at the end, the choice, Harrison Ford's decision to say "I know" instead of "I love you" back. The reveal with Vader to Luke. The lightsaber fight, which is far better than his fight with Obi-Wan in the last movie. So they took it up a notch with that. Which now, when you watch it too, see, I think that is another added benefit of watching it chronologically. Because when you watch that scene, the lightsaber fight between him and Vader now, you're like, Vader's holding back.
Well, yeah, you know that now.
Yeah. Because if he wanted to, he would have annihilated Luke. Like, he would have been gone.
But you don't know that before because you didn't know how powerful he was.
Right. So I think that adds to it for me. For he's like, hey, this is my son. I got to hold back.
Well, that's why your kids would appreciate it more on repeat viewings. That's stuff you would catch up on. You wouldn't really be like, yeah, I noticed that the first time. What do I care?
Different generations.
You are going to ruin their childhood. That's what I've decided. Yeah, that was my number 5.
I already said my number 5, and that is Christmas Vacation. We already talked about that.
All right.
So then, okay, what is your number 4?
Return of the Jedi.
Well, damn, dude. Return of the Jedi. That is my number 2, second favorite film of the 1980s.
So I've cracked the code.
Well, I only got one more movie left after this. Yeah, it's my second favorite film of the 1980s. My 4th favorite Star Wars film.
That's a disgrace.
Excuse me?
That's a disgrace. It's my favorite Star Wars film.
Well, that's a disgrace. No, it's a 5-star film for me. I still think it's perfect, even though, like, it's my 3rd favorite film of the original trilogy, 4th favorite film overall of Star Wars. Now, as a kid, this was probably my favorite movie. It was definitely my favorite Star Wars movie, but probably my favorite movie in general. Like, I loved this one as a kid, but as I got older, it moved down a little bit for me for a couple different reasons. So perfect, like I said, but as far as like just Star Wars and overall, I'm not a huge fan of the Ewoks. Not a huge fan of them. Han, which is my favorite character, doesn't have a whole lot to do in this movie. Obviously the beginning's all about them saving him. And then after that segment of the film, he's kind of just there. I do like the stuff with him and Leia that's sprinkled throughout. Especially how like jealous he is. He thinks she's going to be with Luke and stuff when she gets upset over the Death Star and stuff like that. But and the reverse "I love you" sequence in the film, I like that. But other than that, he doesn't have a whole lot to do. This one's really focused heavily on Luke and Vader, and that's what makes the film. And I do love that. I love it's the best lightsaber fight of that trilogy
of all time.
Not all time. No, not all time. Of
Give
that
that
trilogy.
to that dude. Disrespect.
But it's one of the most. It's definitely the most emotional fight of the whole series. I'll say that. Well, no, I don't know.
It's the best of all time.
I would say the Obi-Wan Anakin, which I think is the best lightsaber fight of all time. I think that's probably the most emotional, but I don't know. This one's up there. It's good. And it's Luke and Vader. But I don't know. Go ahead and talk about it.
I know it's the best lightsaber fight of the whole series. I don't know what you're talking about.
No. Obi-Wan.
Get out of here with that garbage.
Best lightsaber fight.
Trash opinion right there.
So much more intense. Visually appealing.
Second best right there.
I would say this is the 3rd best.
God. Keeps going down in your list.
Keeps going down.
Sucker for Dave Filoni. His arguments.
Yeah, that's the 2nd best.
That's the 3rd best
lightsaber fight. With this being the 3rd. This is the 2nd most emotional. I don't know. Like, it's hard to think about it. Like, I mean, there's what's on the line. There's a lot on the line between the one that David Filoni talked about, which is the Phantom Menace. That's what, and I like the choreograph of that fight in the first place. But I don't know. You look, it's hard to look at this one and like what's on the line and everything, because like, is Vader really gonna kill him? You don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. There's a lot.
What if he had?
And you're like, is Luke gonna really kill him? You don't know. Could have. But that one scene is my favorite scene of that film, and one of my favorite Star Wars scenes overall of when Vader kills Palpatine, because of everything he's been through, and that's another thing. It's like an added thing. It's like if you watch him chronologically, at that point you're like, oh man, everything this guy's done to him, ruined his life,
on repeat viewings,
made him lose Padme, like all of this, and then fuck it, man, and he kills him.
Which you get on the repeat viewings.
Yeah, well, okay. I just think, like, at this point with technology and everything, and a kid watching the movie, they're not gonna. There's a certain level I don't think they're gonna appreciate the original trilogy like we will, anyways. Or, I think our generation's probably. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I just feel like after our generation, with everything with technology, we were kind of the end of that, where could appreciate older films to the maximum level like that.
Well, I mean, not if you show them early.
Maybe.
Yeah, if they watch the Star Wars movie for the first time when they're 15, yeah, they're like, oh, this sucks, dude.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, certain things, sure.
You'll watch it and you'll like it. That's what I tell my kids.
But you also got to show it to them when they're actually going to understand the movie, too.
Yeah.
Which, even if I show it to them when they're 3 and they understand it, they're probably still at that point seeing TV shows,
You will watch nothing.
Even if it wasn't Star Wars, it's like, so what was in the show, that was more modern, that could change how they view a film, and I don't know.
You will watch nothing. That's what I'll tell my kids.
It will stare at the wall.
TV is in my bedroom, and you will read a book. You'll read the Aftermath trilogy.
Okay, I can't spoil it.
You'll just wish it would be a television show.
Should have been.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day. Yeah, but that's my number 2. But I only have one more film left. Like I also said, my number 3 was Roadhouse, so the only film I have left is my number 4. Is that what your next film is?
Yeah.
You go ahead and jump over that, and we'll come back to it.
My number 2 is The Princess Bride, since I'm skipping my number 3. You have it, and it's going to be like Forrest Gump to you. You're just going to say you hate it.
I highly doubt it.
Until you watch it. You don't know, dude. I didn't think I was going to like it this much when I first watched it. Magical experience, man. I think it'll hit you harder than you think.
We'll see.
I think you'll cry.
What?
It's going to be the end of the movie. You're like, oh, man, it got me.
I definitely doubt it.
You don't know what happens.
I don't. But I
I
know what I've seen from it, and I'm like...
You know one scene. Which one's that?
Just different parts.
It's on Disney Plus. You'll watch it and you'll like it.
I'll watch it and I'll give it a 2.
Uh,
Nice try.
I'll drive up there and kill you. You could cry. You could cry in this one.
We'll see. I'm going to watch it and be like, what the hell were you talking about? What scene?
It's fantastic. Mixed in so many genres. It's definitely like an 80s feel movie. I guess it was underrated when it came out. I think it's more of a cult classic now.
Yeah.
Perfect casting. Like Rob Reiner, fantastic job directing this. Got it over there on the Criterion Collection, as it deserves to be.
Oh, yeah, he directed.
Yeah. Take a class, dude.
Take a film education course.
Cary Elwes. I think the first thing I ever watched him in was Saw, and I think that's what stopped me from watching this movie so many times. I don't want to see that. Andre the Giant. I can never remember his name. The guy that plays Inigo Montoya, which is my favorite character in the movie. Incredible role. I think it's the guy from the Criminal Minds or one of those shows. But yeah, fantastic
Homeland.
movie. Huh?
Homeland.
Was he in Homeland? I thought he was in Criminal Minds too.
Well, I don't know. He's in
Or
Homeland.
CSI. But like I said, I think Robin Wright does a great job in the movie. As far as acting goes, Mandy Patinkin.
I did used to watch Columbo with my grandpa.
That's what's gonna get you, dude.
Oh man.
That's what's gonna get you. You're gonna watch the movie, and then at the end, you're like, "Oh man, this is it." Yeah, that's what I knew. Like, you used to watch over him, and like I know what's gonna happen. So.
Yeah, I used to watch Columbo with him, and
Yeah.
we actually went by his house, Peter Falk's house,
Yeah.
when I was in California last time.
Yeah. Well, you'll cry when you watch that part. But it's such a feel good movie. Script, it's just hilarious. You get a cameo from Billy Crystal, who works with Rob Reiner.
Yeah, that doesn't excite me.
Yeah, it should. But yeah, one of the best 80s movies and my second favorite of the decade.
All right. Well, that leads us to. We can go back to number 4 now. Well, you're number 3.
My number 3. Yeah.
You're number 3. My number 4 favorite film of the decade, and that is Blade Runner.
Yeah, I thought this was gonna be like your number 2.
Really?
Yeah, I thought Return of the Jedi was gonna be number 4.
No, I like Return of the Jedi better.
But
that's also based off, like, if you're asking me which film is better, Blade Runner's better.
Well, and that's Blade Runner: The Final Cut too.
Right, and that's what I'm basing. I'm not.
Yeah, 2000s movie technically.
Yeah, because I haven't seen the original cut of Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Only seen the later cuts.
But I'm like, why would I watch that?
Yeah, I don't. But I mean, just based off the versions that I've seen, it is a 5-star. It's one of my favorite films.
Didn't care for the first time I watched it.
I didn't say I didn't like it, but I needed to rewatch it again. I watched it for film appreciation, I think that's what it was.
I just watched it on my own. I'm like,
I just got kind of bored the first time I watched it.
Yeah.
So I rewatched it and I appreciate it a lot more now. But I do like Blade Runner 2049 better. It's more engaging to me. I'm more into it, even though it's longer.
Doesn't feel like it though.
And I love Harrison Ford in this one. I mean, I love him in both, but I don't know, the stuff with the villains and stuff really. I like that better in 2049. That stuff. Yeah. It was a more engaging story to me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I can't remember if it was the second or third time I watched it that I really appreciated it. Definitely interesting. I mean, I don't think that Deckard is a replicant, but it's an interesting theory.
It's a very, very layered film. And it's one that you can keep watching and keep learning new things, keep discovering new things, and keep wondering about things like that. Is he a replicant or not? Like you, I don't believe he is.
But that's what kind of sucks with like the multiple cuts, though, is that we've only watched the final cut, and I don't think he is. But there's like, if you watch, like, I think, was there 2 other cuts before?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, that's kind of a cheat. that you didn't. And apparently they're two totally different movies, which that kind of sucks. That's another reason why I don't want to watch the original one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's different to say like, oh, here's a director's cut, like we're talking about Lethal Weapon, like a couple of deleted scenes.
Right.
But I know the first one I started and there's like voiceovers and all the city speak and all that. I'm like, this is a totally different movie. So I don't know.
Lots of it's he narrates the whole original cut, I think.
Doesn't make me excited to ever watch it.
No.
But then, like, I don't think he is. But then, like I said, you delve deeper in that with 2049.
See, I still don't think he is after watching that movie, though.
I don't think he is, but I mean, that's what makes that more of an emotional movie and better.
Because in 2049, like Wallace kind of like pokes at him with that.
Well, yeah, he makes him test this. He's like, oh no, it's not. But I think it's. I mean, it's hard to say one of the best of the '80s because I'm talking about a movie that came out 20 some years later, technically. But yeah, Sean Young, incredible job in that role. Or, blanking on the villain.
Rucker Howard.
Yeah, I think he gave the best performance in the movie. Personally, apparently you don't.
He's great. I mean, I'm always a sucker for Harrison Ford, though. But
well, I mean, his character is the one that really makes you think.
Right, and that's the one that I'm like. The first time I watched it, I was like, I just didn't understand it, and I was like, man, this is a lame fight scene. And I was expecting like just something different, but now I watch it and I appreciate it a lot more. Especially that scene.
Tears in Rain scene is just incredible. Cause I mean, I didn't think it was a lame fight scene. I don't know what you watched.
It was not what I expected. I did not know what to expect with Blade Runner.
Oh, he breaks a few of his fingers, so I don't know what gives him the gun back too. Like, oh yeah, here, shoot it now, dude. Go ahead. I think it's Ridley Scott's best movie, by far.
Yes.
But
yeah, definitely.
It's almost time to rewatch those two.
We rewatched them not too long ago, probably the end of last year, something like that. Which actually Sarah likes the first one better.
Sarah is wrong.
Which I was very surprised, to see somebody who watching them for the first time like the original more.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's slower.
It's a lot slower.
And like I said, I mean, it's still on our top list. I'm not dissing the movie at all, but it does seem slower to me, and it's not as easy for me to like. If I want to, I could put in 2049 right now and watch the whole thing
over and over again.
And it doesn't feel like it's almost 3 hours. I know like everything that's going to happen in the journey. It's just like it films like that, like Once Upon a Time and everything, where I'm like, okay, here we go. It's just like a roller coaster.
That movie sucks, dude. Oh, Once Upon a Time in the West. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you could just watch it. Oh, I think your Skype froze. I think your Skype froze. You just stop talking.
All right. Well, you have one movie left. That's your favorite film of the 80s. Pretty in Pink, right?
Of all, I'll kill you. I'll kill you, dude. It's my favorite film of all time. That's The Breakfast Club. John Hughes' best movie. I don't hear your trash opinions. Get out of here with that. I think I was like 7 when I watched this. It was during the summer. It was like a television version too, so a lot of it was actually cut out. What you couldn't do. I think it was incredible at the time, and it just gets better and better with each viewing.
Really?
What?
Said really?
Yeah, absolutely, dude. They just appreciate more. No, get out of here with your criticisms. I know where you're going. I'm not gonna. We've had this conversation. You can critique this movie, but not certain others in your top 10 favorite films. Um, it's one I appreciate more and more. I wouldn't say it's one of the most rewatchable ones because it is one like when I put it in, it's not like, oh, this is just background noise. Like if I like Roadhouse, it's one where I could throw in like I could miss a couple scenes. Like
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. Like Once Upon a Time is one of my most rewatchable, but it is one of those movies where I'm not doing anything else when I watch it.
Yeah, there's nothing heavy about Once Upon a Time though, like there is in the Breakfast Club with like certain themes.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Like, there's definitely certain things in Once Upon a Time. Like, if I'm gonna I could miss a couple things and still appreciate the movie. But like with the Breakfast Club, it's one of those that you have to pay attention to all the characters, like mannerisms, how they treat one another, and how that develops through the movie. I expect, like I say, the overall theme of you label each character, like even that's in the beginning and the end of the movie. And even now, like if you were to name the criminal, the jock, but John Hughes writes the script where most people's critiques are the whole point of his movie, where some of the words like Bender uses, like, oh well, someone like him wouldn't use it. Like, that's the whole point. Each person is more than one word. What you see isn't always what you get with the characters. He may be like a criminal, and like that's what you expect, but it doesn't mean he's stupid. But oh man, it's time to watch that movie again. I was talking about it. I mean, that's why I was so happy when they were releasing on Criterion, because all this stuff's like, oh, all these scenes like John Hughes has on his own. Like, oh, give me the movie, man. Let me watch the scenes.
That he has what?
Like the only scenes like he had seen before, like kept in his personal archives, like where the deleted scenes in the movies. Like, oh, just hand it over, man. I want to watch the whole thing.
Have you watched those yet?
Yeah, as soon as I got it.
What scenes did we miss?
Ones I wouldn't necessarily say like would be in the movie. I think Molly Ringwald had a few, but it's hard for me to say like I want those in the movie now that I've already seen it.
Maybe they could have taken out the dance with the shattered.
How dare you, dude? I use it takes a half a star. Like, man, you hate a lot.
Take that and the sexual harassment out. Add in the other scenes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying like I just watched that scene on repeat.
I know,
but I don't know. I mean, if I watched it for the first time now, it may not be a 5-star film.
Yeah.
But I'd seen it so many times before.
See, I don't know when the first time I had even seen the movie. I think it was like middle school, probably 6th grade. I think the first time I'd seen it.
Yeah.
And I mean, at that time, it was probably my top 10 favorite movies.
As it should be.
When I was in middle school, rewatching, I was like, oh man, 8th grade me, vintage, 80s, The Breakfast Club.
I still love the 80s, yeah.
But right, watching this for a kid.
Yeah, but I mean, I think even then, like the middle school when I was like the deepest into the 80s that I've ever been.
Yeah,
let me just listen to Def Leppard all the time.
All the 80s band tees.
Yeah. What else are you gonna wear in middle school? But yeah, I don't know. I can't imagine this ever not being my favorite movie. What would top it?
We'll see one day.
That's a life-changing decision right there.
It is.
Yeah, I don't know. That's
did it myself recently.
That's a bold saying. Maybe. But
no, because your favorite movie identifies, I feel like, yourself more than any of the other films. And if you do a top 10 list, it's like your favorite film. That's what your bold statement is. Like, this is my favorite movie.
Yeah. Well, it's like even looking at my top 10 list, like Boyhood is number 2. And then There Will Be Blood's number 3. So it's like, oh man, this is don't know.
Which is a kind of a weird one there. Your third favorite though.
Well, yeah, There Will Be Blood gets thrown in because then Blade Runner 2049 is number 4.
Because your first, your 1 and your 2, you're like, okay, I can see it. This makes sense.
It's like, what's your third? Is it? Oh, it's There Will Be Blood. What? Yeah.
Which
mine's kind of all over the place.
My 4 favorite are different genres. I would consider my first and third to be both my favorite genre, which is dramedy. But
yeah,
Once Upon a Time and The Big Lebowski. But you also got Jaws in there at number 2 and La La Land at 4.
That movie sucks.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, like later on in my top 10, you got Princess Bride's in there, Fury Road, About Time. So it's Hell or High Water.
In your top 10?
Yeah.
This is my top 50.
He's in my top 50. That's my number 9. There, 3 Billboards, my number 10.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure what we're doing next week for Top Shelf. I did have it planned out, but I'll have to take a look at it. We might change it around. I don't know if we're going to do top 10. We might do top 10 films before 1980, or we might wait a week and do that in a bit. But don't forget to like this video, guys, and subscribe to the channel, and we will see you guys next week for our own episode of Top Shelf.